Before I begin this video, let me make something very clear that there's absolutely nothing admirable or worth glorifying when it comes to psychopaths. Unfortunately, movies, social media, and different series have romanticized them to a much larger extent. In reality, psychology has a completely different perspective on it. In simpler terms, psychopaths are those individuals, they can be men or women, who constantly violate the rights of other people. They constantly cause harm to the physical, emotional, psychological, and even financial well being of other people without showing any remorse or guilt whatsoever. Now, what makes psychopaths different from other people? It's the way they carry themselves. Like I said in the previous video, their approach towards other people is in such a calm, collected, confident, and smooth manner that other people would want to talk to them even more. But that's their superficial charm. And they use the superficial charm to gain your trust. Another most common trait of psychopaths is that they are extremely highly manipulative. With their smooth conversation, once they have gained their victim's interest, they would start penetrating more into knowing their victim's personality. Like I said previously, their hobbies, their career aspirations, their family, their emotional values, their financial values, their moral values. From that, psychopaths quickly learn what people want to hear. For instance, during the conversation, if their victim says that, you know what, I am done with the 9 to 5 job and, I want to switch, I want to do a business, but it's quite risky. From there, a highly manipulative psychopath would say, you are absolutely right. A 9 to 5 job is no good for a highly skilled individual with such amazing leadership qualities. You know what? Why don't you start a business? I will help you. I will invest in that. You leave your 9 to 5 job and come to me, and I'll help you in everything. Now, with the kind of personality a psychopath portrays, the victim will instantly fall into the trap. Now, what does a psychopath gain from it? Power, control over victims' financial assets, and ultimately taking over the victim's entire business. The next most common trait of psychopaths is that they are habitual liars. Psychopaths would lie just for the sake of it. And they lie with such conviction that they leave no room for any doubts or arguments. And it's not that they lie, it's the way they lie. For instance, if they have come to work late and their boss or their colleagues ask them that, okay, why were you late? They would maintain that composure and with a very straight face, they would say, oh, my best friend died. I was getting ready for work, I was heading out, and I just got a call that my best friend died. Although their best friend would be alive and well in their homes, but they would just give out the reason with such smoothness that their bosses would be like, oh, I'm so sorry for that loss. Another classic trait of psychopaths is that they mask their insecurities by showcasing their grandiosity and lack of empathy. For instance, if a coworker comes to them or a friend comes to them and he shares that, you know what, maybe my boss fires me soon, or I got demoted, or maybe my wife left me, they would have a really sarcastic and sardonic smile on their faces and they would say, oh, at least I have a job. At least I have a beautiful wife. I'm so sorry, but maybe you deserved it. That's how they feed on belittling others, whether it's their achievements or whether it's their problems. They feel happy in other people's problems and they feel excessive jealousy if their coworker succeeds. If a coworker comes to them and says, I just bought a new car, they might not show a visible discomfort, but their jealousy would be so extreme that they might end up coming to their friend's house and damaging his car. Psychopaths love to ruin other people's days. They come to work and they see a coworker wearing a very nice shirt. They would immediately feel competitive. They would walk up to them and they would say, so, wearing a new shirt. And the coworker would be like, yeah, my wife bought it, or my mother bought it for me, or my daughter bought it for me. And the next thing they would do is spilling coffee over their new shirt. And they would say immediately, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. Another most hated trait of psychopaths is that they cannot stand any animals around them. For instance, if they see a dog or a cat or any animal being on its own or approaching them for food, they would straight up kill that animal, which shows that the psychopaths, they are emotionally numb to any sensitivity. Your follow-up question or concern could be that how do they look like? While the horrifying truth is, they appear to be as normal human beings as we are. They might have a family, a wife, children, They might have a stable job. They might have a social circle for their own benefits. But here's the truth. They are living twin lives. If during daytime they are enjoying a stable life, a stable job, a loving family, the other half of the day, they are committing some of the most gruesome things ever imaginable. This leads us to another very interesting debate, that is nature versus nurture, which means are psychopaths born the way they are, or does their environment play a certain role in shaping up their personalities? And that would be the topic of my next video.